Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to part one of Movie Marathon Madness, the Marvel movies. For those of you that are new here, starting in July of 2020, I began a multi-part series called Movie Marathon Madness, where I review every single movie in a particular franchise. Our first franchise was technically not a movie franchise, but it was all of the SpongeBob TV specials. So every half hour or hour long episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. And that went really well for the channel, so naturally I would continue it. And it was originally going to be the Marvel TV shows, but I very quickly realized that finding full episodes on some of the very early Marvel shows was very hard. Like, DVDs do exist, but they are hella expensive, and I'm not spending $80+ on shitty superhero cartoons from the 60s. So, I decided to change it up from the Marvel TV shows to the Marvel movies. And not just the MCU. I will be reviewing every single theatrically released film based on a Marvel comic. And because it's every film based off of a Marvel comic, that means for this entire video, we're going to be talking about the shitty ones that started off Marvel's film career. God help me. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the craziness as we begin Movie Marathon Madness, the Marvel movies. So here's the thing about Howard the Duck. It's bad. Everybody knows just how bad this movie is. From the story, to the acting, to the characters, and to especially the humor, everything about this movie is just either uncomfortable or just plain mean. But I am willing to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. This is the very first theatrically released Marvel movie after all, and it was in a time where superhero movies were definitely not taken as serious as they were today. I mean, before this, the only good examples of superhero movies that were successful and treated seriously were like the first two Superman movies, and that's about it. So, given the context on how this pretty much had little to no superhero movies to compare it to, and the fact that it literally is the first of its kind,
This movie's fucking terrible.
for starters, this movie is way too mean-spirited. For starters, Howard the Duck was basically just thrown into this world that he knows nothing about, and basically everyone treats him like shit. But then again, Howard's an asshole. And it's not like the fun type of asshole to watch, but he's just like an unlikable asshole. Like, the type of asshole you're just like, you know what? Fuck you. Get turned into a turducken for all I care. Like, you suck. The humor in this movie is also painfully unfunny. The grand majority of the humor is either duck puns, people being loud and obnoxious, specifically from the comic relief scientist, or sex jokes. And the sex jokes are mainly used with ducks. I'm pretty sure we are all aware of the infamous duck tits. Woo! And finally, why is this movie in live action? Like, this movie is about a talking duck. So why didn't they just make it animated? I think the reasoning is because, well, in the comics it is about a duck coming to the human world. But, you know, I feel like it would have been a lot better if, say, the duck was animated. Like, you still could have had him go to, like, a human world, but it could be like a Roger Rabbit scenario. I probably wouldn't have been like, oh, they should have made it animated if, you know, the Howard puppet in costume didn't look like roadkill. So, overall, Howard the Duck, yeah, this movie
It's really, really bad. Although before we move on to the next movie, I do want to bring up this one behind the scenes fact, which I think is the only good thing to come from this movie. And that is, if this movie never existed, we would not have Pixar Animation Studios. No, I am not kidding. Long story short, pretty much everybody who worked on this movie thought that it was going to be a flop. So before it was released, George Lucas sold the movie's effects company, the Graphics Group, to Steve Jobs. Jobs then decided to rename the company after the computers that they would use, that being Pixar. So if it wasn't for Howard the freaking Duck, we wouldn't have Toy Story. The movie still sucks though. So here's the thing about The Punisher. It's bad, but unlike Howard the Duck, where that movie was a laughable type of bad to the point where you question, like, what the hell did you just watch? This is the type of bad where you forget about it immediately after watching this. Like, I'm having a hard time trying to remember it, just writing down my notes and script for this video. And this film specifically is very odd, seeming how it is semi-faithful to the source material, but, they barely say the word the Punisher, and the iconic Punisher logo is nowhere to be found, and you can just change the names of the characters and the title of the movie, and absolutely nothing would change. Like, this almost shouldn't really count as a Marvel movie, but it does. It does. And not that good. Although I will admit, this movie does have some pretty decent action scenes and some good effects for the type of movie that it wants to be. But what really gets me about this movie, and the main aspect that I really don't like, the guy who plays the Punisher really sucks at acting, and he does not do a great job at all. And some of the acting in this movie is perfectly fine, but a lot of it is just really bad. And the way they explain Frank Castle's origin is rather weak. Overall, this just feels like a generic 80s action movie that they just slapped the Punisher name on at the last minute. So if you're a fan of standard bland 80s action movies, I guess this is the movie to watch. But if not, I wouldn't watch it.
Captain America has got to be one of the most forgettable superhero movies ever made. There's really nothing to this movie that I can actually remember. Like, I'm having such a hard time remembering what even happened in this movie outside of Captain America fights the Red Skull, Captain America gets frozen, Captain America gets unfrozen, Captain America fights Red Skull again, end of movie. The acting is extremely mediocre, and oh god, the costumes. The costumes are just horrible. Granted, the Red Skull isn't that bad, but oh god, the Captain America costume just looks hideous. Yes, it is extremely comic book accurate, but just because it's comic book accurate doesn't mean it looks good when a real person wears it. There's a reason why Hugh Jackman never really wore the bright yellow jumpsuit when he played Wolverine. I do find it very hilarious on how the MCU made fun of this specific costume in the first Avenger. That was pretty funny. But man, this movie is just really bad, very bland, very forgettable. It's just a nothing movie with nothing to say about it. It's just, I just, God, we're only at part one. God, God, I gotta go. I gotta go somewhere. Christ. Wait. Wait, what do you mean we have one more movie left for this video? Like, what's the movie? Better be a good one. The next movie better be like Blade or Spider-Man or the X-Men. One of the first really good Marvel movies. Because if it's not, I'm gonna kill myself. Because all the movies we talked about have been terrible. So please, just give me one good movie for this video. Oh, come on!
Yes. Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four, one of the most infamous superhero movies of all time. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I couldn't bring myself to finish this one. It was just that bad, that cringy, that just awful. Although I will admit, there are some pretty decent elements in it. Like, the acting is okay, and the costumes for the time are pretty decent looking and pretty comic book accurate, I will admit. Much more comic accurate than some of the later Fantastic Four movies. But you can definitely tell that it's being made on the cheaper side, but for the budget that it probably had, for the fact that it's a Roger Corman production in the 90s, it's pretty good. But people don't really care about the actual film itself. People care about what happened when they made the movie. You see, the production company only made this Fantastic Four movie so that they could keep the rights. They had zero intention on actually releasing the film. So, all of the actors and all of the crew members thought that they were going to be releasing a big worldwide production film about the Fantastic Four. But this movie was never officially released. Like, it's just been dumped at some festivals and on YouTube, and like, so technically I shouldn't even be talking about this movie at all, but here I am. Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four is technically a movie that exists, but was never released. So, but it is a very interesting movie.
Okay, 4 down, 64 to go. God help me. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, comment below, let me know what you think, and please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell right next to it so that you'll be notified of when part 2 of this series will be released in a month or so. Thank you so much for your patience. I wanted to release this like months ago, like last year even, but there was just so much shit that just got in the way of me actually finishing this. But hey, I'm here now. I finally got part 1 out, and just in time to finish off Marvel Month. So if you guys did enjoy Marvel Month, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more other different themed months outside of just SpongeBob month and the holiday months, please let me know. I would love to do that. And until next time, I'll see you later. Excelsior! You sure you want to review that film, Beth?